Hello all, I am Sandeep Ligade, working as an assistant professor in A.G. Patel Institute of Technology. Today we are going to discuss key elements in mechatronic system. So this is already we had a discussion of this basic block diagram of mechatronics in unit 1. So just we go for an highlight of this one. Mechanical systems. If we see over here, there is a block, actuators and sensors. So sensors basically in the basic block diagram of mechatronics is what simple sensor, then control element, that is microprocessor, or you can say microcontroller, and nothing but then output, third block, right? So this is what a simple basic block diagram of mechatronics. So practically if we see sensors, there are n number of types of sensors, that is switches, potentiometer, photoelectric, digital encoder, etc. so and so, which converts your physical parameters such as temperature, humidity, right, into certain voltages, right? And that voltage is very small, that is in microvolt or millivolt. So to amplify that small voltage, we have to connect one more block, that is input signal conditioning. Okay, the sensor's output is not in conditional output, so to make a proper in condition, right, so as to drive or so as to give that sufficient voltage to the microprocessor or microcontroller, right, we have to use input signal conditioning, that is voltage amplifier, you can say, or that is using BJT transistor, or FET, MOSFET, or you can also go for an IC amplifier, that is 741 op-amp, right? So based on that, we give the output to the control element, that is microcontroller or microprocessor. So there is a block digital control architecture, that is logic circuits, microcontroller, SBC, PLC, and etc. whatever. So it requires minimum 5 volt, that is a TTL, transistor logic, right? So the output of this microcontroller, again it is in very small, that is 5 volt, and the output current is also very small, right? So the output of microcontroller directly is given to the actuator, but actuator whatever we are using, that is solenoid or DC motor, stepper motor, servo motor, hydraulic, pneumatic, etc., it requires very high voltage, which is not in a state to provide, okay, by the microcontroller. That's why we have to connect one more block, that is output signal conditioning, which amplifies or boosts the current level, or you can see even voltage level required to this drive these actuators, right? So output signal conditioning, that is D2A converter or digital to digital converter or amplifiers or PWM, etc. It is again based on applications. One more thing is what, if you want any kind of a display, right, so we can connect here graphical display or monitor, something like that. LED displays there, LCD displays there, okay, digital display like CRT, that is a monitor. So on that you can observe the output, right? It gives some certain indication or certain information. So this is what a basic block diagram of mechatronics, that is key elements in mechatronics system. So practically we see elements in mechatronic system. So one example they have taken over here. So in discrete format they have shown, that is here is a potentiometer pot, right, digital to analog converter, that is D2A, and PIC microcontroller or processor over here, right, digital encoder, this is part, and DC motor over here, then inertial load, gear drive, right? So power amplifier with heatsink, because we are using here amplifier, which kind of amplifier we are using, that's a power amplifier. So we use power transistor which is getting heated, okay, that's why we have to connect a heatsink which is of aluminum and black painted, fine. So here is a voltage regulator as per requirement, so it regulates the output voltage. So if you take any kind of example in that, because we select example based on the application, so fine. So over there is a block, that is a sensor, some sensors maybe we use, then control element, you can say controller, microprocessor or microcontroller, and output device, fine. So in this way we select an applications, we design the block of mechatronics, and practically what the thing is, we need of input signal conditioning, output signal conditioning, and if you want certain displays and all, we can attach accordingly. Some small application that we have seen over here, right? Moving to the next point, that is these are the responses of a system, right? Here has been given over here. So these responses of a system, basically in control system, how to predict whether the system is stable, unstable, or marginally stable based on the response. For a particular system, if you want to make the analysis, we have to give the input. So by giving the input, we have to check the output, isn't it? What kind of output it is giving, whether it is a bounded input or unbounded, bounded output or unbounded output, something like that. If you give the input, then output suppose continuously is increasing, that system is called as unstable, right? And similarly, if when we give the input and we get the bounded output in particular format, in the particular range, so that is a stable system. Then when we give the input at the last moment, but output is not in a constant way or in a stable manner, continuously it is fluctuating, right? So that is called as marginally stable. So in this way, we have to give the input for the analysis to get the response and to check the status. Transfer function, very important thing, right? So that mechanical system can be mathematically we can arrange. For that purpose, we need to study a transfer function, because it is very easier, better to assess some things using classical techniques such as gain, or you can say phase margin. Fine. So for that purpose, we can go for a transfer function. So basically, how in mechanical system, how to predict, in electrical system, how to go for a transfer function. Basically, suppose if we take an example of electrical system, take example of series RLC circuit, that is resistor, capacitor, inductor, all are connected in series. Over here, if you want to calculate the transfer function of that circuit, basically we apply a KVL, that is voltage, okay, Kirchhoff voltage law. When we apply KVL to that circuitry, we get the equation, right? That is called as a differential equation in time domain. And when we have to convert that time domain into the frequency domain, so that's why we have to convert that equation into the Laplace domain. So okay, so after converting that into the Laplace domain, so Laplace of output divided by Laplace of input, then it's called as a transfer function. So in this way, assuming initial condition 0 and taking Laplace of output, okay, and Laplace, that is Laplace transform of input, transfer function is equal to L output divided by L input, that is Laplace of output divided by Laplace of input. In this way, we can calculate the transfer function. Moving to the next slide, we'll see the different advantages and disadvantages of transfer function, right? So it gives mathematical model of overall system, and analysis of individual components are also possible. Yeah, exactly. We had a discussion that it gives a mathematical model of overall system, and similarly, if you want the individual component analysis, so that can be done with the help of transfer function. Use Laplace approach, right? So it is better to go for always in frequency domain, because maximum information can be obtained from the frequency domains compared to the time domain. So we have to go for Laplace approach. It converts time domain into simple algebraic equation, right? Once transfer function is known, right, so output response for any kind of or any type of input can be calculated. So this is again biggest advantage of transfer function. It helps in determining the important information about the system, that is poles, zeros, characteristic equation, etc. Right, again it is one more important thing, how we can predict the system. Okay, it is based on its poles and zeros and characteristic equation, all these things, right? So that information can be obtained with the help of transfer function, whether the system is stable, unstable, marginally stable, etc. Right. Finally, it helps in stability analysis of the system. Yeah, whatever the equation that we get, with that equation, we can easily see that whether that system is stable or unstable. Okay. Then the system differential equation can be easily obtained by replacing variables, right? So we can easily replace the variable s by d by dt. So one more advantage, finding inverse, the required variable can be easily expressed in time domain. Okay, so required variable can be easily expressed in time domain by taking its inverse. So this is again one more advantage. This is much more easy than to analyze the entire system in time domain. See what are the biggest advantage of this one. So few disadvantages are there. It is only applicable to linear time invariant. Yeah, it is only and merely applicable for time invariant systems. So it doesn't provide any kind of information concerning physical structure. So it provides a mathematical equation. That's why it doesn't provide any kind of physical structure or design of this one. So from transfer function, physical structure of the nature of the system, whether it is electrical, mechanical, thermal, or hydraulic, cannot be judged. Yeah, with the help of transfer function, we cannot judge the physical nature, whether it is electrical, mechanical, or thermal, something like that. Fine. Effects arising due to initial conditions are totally neglected. If we neglect the initial conditions, so the importance of that will be lose over here. So this is again the disadvantage of transfer function models, right? Move to the next one. Now we have to make the analysis of the systems, mechanical systems, right? In mechanical systems, there are so many things are there, like in electrical systems. So in electrical systems, we have the basic component, that is resistor, capacitor, inductor, which has one unique functionality of that. The same can be obtained over here in mechanical systems, right? So inertial force that you can see, that is a mass, right? We have to study the translational motion. Basically, a translational motion is what the motion along the straight line, right? So this is a simple mass over here. According to Newton's second law of motion, what we can say is when sum of forces acting on the mass, or you can say rigid body, is equal to, according to Newton's law, what it says is sum of forces applied on this mass or rigid body is equal to sum of forces consumed to cause a displacement, or you can say velocity and acceleration in various element systems, right? This is what the way. We can take an example that suppose when we apply a force on this one in this direction, so displacement occur in the same direction. So displacement can be given, that is x of t. See, this is the direction of displacement. So here we can mention x of t, like this is the direction of force f of t. Here x of t is the displacement. So for according to Newton's second law, the equation can be represented that f of t is equal to mass into acceleration. Mass into acceleration, ma of t, means force is directly proportional to the acceleration, isn't it? So f of t is equal to ma of t. Now in terms of displacement, if we see that f of t is given by m of d square x of t upon dt square, because acceleration is nothing but simple change in velocity with respect to time, that dv of dt. Similarly, now velocity is given by change in the displacement with respect to time, that is dx of t upon dt. Velocity. When we put the equation of velocity in acceleration equation, so we get this one, right? Same like. So this is what about the inertial force. Then one more thing importantly that we have to see, that the unit this mass is measured in kilograms, and definitely it stores the kinetic energy. It never stores the potential energy, mass. Hence this is analogous to inductance, or you can say inductor, to the electrical system, or similar to inductor. And next point, spring force, right? Spring force, that basically spring has a potential energy. The restoring force of a spring is proportional to the displacement. So it stores a potential energy. It never stores the kinetic energy. So when we apply a force in this direction, there is a displacement of a spring that is given by x of t, isn't it? And k is the spring constant of stiffness. Okay. Actually, the thing is what? In actual mechanical system, there may be an actual spring, or you can say some imaginary springs. Means we can go for a conveyor belt which has a elasticity, right? Or you can see, take the example of a rubber, okay, which is like a spring, because when we stretch that and when we leave that, so that rubber can regain its original size and shape. Means it stores a potential energy. It acts like a spring, the same like conveyor belt due to the elasticity, or you can say rubber or actual spring in mechanical system. It has the same phenomena, right? So k is the constant. Then similarly, all springs are non-linear one. Okay, springs has a property to store the potential energy that already we had discussion, right? So when we apply a force on this one, so there is a displacement. Okay, so force is directly proportional to the displacement of a spring. Okay, so the equation of this is given by Fk of t is equal to k integration v of t dt, right? Damping force which has in electrical system, suppose if you take example of resistor, what it does is it opposes the flow of current, and in mechanical system the same way like damping force acts, right? So damper, or you can say dashpot, you can call it as a dashpot, and its constant is given by B, right? So there are so many types of frictions are there. When there is a motion, then there is a friction. Okay, when motion exists, then friction exists over there. Suppose if we take the plane surface, we can say glass surface, on that glass surface, when we keep a certain body, right, for the displacement we have to apply the force, isn't it? We have to apply the force, and that force, that body consumes some energy for the displacement, okay, due to friction. If we keep the same body, suppose on the surface which has high friction, okay, which is that plane surface is not proper a plane one, right? Suppose on initially we have kept on glass, now the same body will keep on the floor. Suppose obviously compared to the glass, the floor friction is more, right? And when we have to go for a displacement, we have to apply a force, and the same like it requires a huge force, okay, because the friction is more, isn't it? So whenever there is a motion, there is a friction based on the surface. Okay, so B is now a constant. Here in mechanical system they have mentioned the dashpot, right? The friction is represented by a dashpot with a constant B, right? So the friction is between two moving surfaces, that is fixed, or you can say supported, fine. So in this way there is friction may vary based on the surfaces. Glass surface is there, or roof surface is there, etc. There may be a friction, or two moving plates or two moving surfaces are there, there may occur a friction. Okay, so the equation is given by Fd of t, okay, that is a force, B V of t, isn't it? Now V of t has been replaced by dx of t upon dt, that is change in the displacement, right? So similarly, when we apply a force in this direction, so displacement occur in the same direction, that is x of t, right? So this one friction will oppose the motion of mass, and opposing force is directly proportional to velocity of mass over here. When we apply force in the direction, there is a displacement in this same direction, right? So this will oppose this motion. Okay, this dash dash whatever we are seeing, so this will oppose to this motion. Okay, there are types of friction that we have, that is static friction, viscous friction, and Coulomb's friction. Okay, so moving to the next point, translational mechanical. One example that we can have over here, here is a mass, okay, resting on the spring and damper D, right? So when we apply a force in this direction, obviously the mass try to move in the same direction, right? So we call that how it reacts, because this body is rested on one rigid surface over here. So when we apply force, the effect of force on the mass, on the spring and the damper can be analyzed by the mathematical model. We can see over here. So F is equal to, according to Newton's second law of motion, okay, F is equal to mass into acceleration. Okay, so acceleration is given by change in velocity, that is dv by dt, and velocity is given by, okay, change in displacement upon change in displacement with respect to time, that is dy of t upon dt, that is velocity, right? So here displacement is given by y, that is y of t, and in previous way we have taken the change in the displacement, that is x of t. So it is a simple notations, you can take any kind of, it's not a standard one. So here they have taken x of t, here we have taken y of t, right? So the mass is given by the equation already we have studied in discrete format. So combined effect that we have to study now. So f of t is equal to, okay, mass d square y of t upon dt square for mass, right? So f of t, that is a force, b into v. Okay, the velocity is given by dy of t upon dt for damper, right? Or you can say dashpot. F of t is equal to ky for spring, that is k is a constant, Newton per meter. So combining these all equation we have to make the summation of all these three. F of t is equal to this all, that is dt d square y of t by dt square plus d. Okay, here should be actually b, right? So I have taken here d, but it is b over here. So b y of t by dt plus k y of t, right? So we have got this equation. So converting this equation into the Laplace transform, or you can say Laplace domain, just simply replace, that is f of t, or you can say f of s. Over here it should be f of s is equal to ms square. So d by dt should be replaced by s, but here that is a d square by dt square, that's why s square into y of s. So wherever there is a t, just replace it by s, plus here b, okay, s by y of s, b s by s means d of dt, that is s, and y of t is nothing but y of s, okay, plus k y of s, k y of s. In this way it's a total equation. Now we go for an equation of motion, m, okay, double derivative, double dot means double derivative, m, okay, double derivative plus d single derivative plus k y no derivative is equal to f. Now total equation of motion that it can be given, that is assuming initial condition is 0 and taking Laplace to the both side, we get, right, m double derivative, that is s square. The same equation that we have repeated over here, see, this same equation we have written here, we get, right, and m s square y of s plus d s y of s plus k y of s is equal to f of s, right? So in this equation, one parameter is input and one parameter is output. So input parameter, that obviously force is the act as an input parameter. This is the input parameter. Force is input parameter, right? And y of s is the output parameter. So Laplace of output divided by Laplace of input, we get y of s divided by f of s is equal to 1 upon m s square plus ds plus k, right? This is what the transfer function of the system. Similarly, the same whatever that we have seen, that is first we have seen mass is analogous or similar to the inductor, right? And second that we have seen, that is a damper. Okay, damper which exists due to the friction, right? When there is a motion, there is a friction, so friction is equivalent to your resistor. Okay, and the last but the least is not what do you call that, capacitor. Okay, so capacitor is simply, that is inverse of capacitor, that is 1 by C. Inverse of capacitor is equivalent to which one? That is a spring. Okay, see, this act as a capacitor, inverse of capacitor, this act as a resistor, and this act as, or you can say equivalent to or analogous to or similar to inductor. Okay, capacitor and resistor. So here resistor, consider a resistor, so the current carrying resistor, that is I is the current and R is the resistor, name of the resistor. Okay, so Ohm's law is given as V is equal to I into R. So I is nothing but the current. So how you define a current? It is a rate of flow of electrons, right? Rate of flow of electrons, we can say, or rate of flow of charge with respect to time. So I is equal to dq by dt. Q is nothing but a charge, right? I is equal to dq by dt. So the equation is given as, just put this equation in this one, V is equal to R dq by dt, right? Second one, capacitor. Okay, so capacitor, this is a C, current is flowing in this direction, so C is equal to Q by V. Charge on the capacitor is given by capacitance value, or capacitance equation is C is equal to Q by V. So the voltage drop across capacitor is given as V is equal to 1 by C integration of I dt. So what is a charge? So charge is nothing but integration of I dt. If we take the derivative of this, we get the same equation, that is I is equal to dq by dt. Take the derivative of this equation, dq by dt is equal to, integration get cancelled, I dt. So I is equal to dq by dt, the same like. Okay, so V is equal to Q by C, inverse of this, simply they have swapped over here. So voltage of cross capacitor is given by V is equal to Q by C. Okay, then inductor, consider an inductor, that is L, current carrying. Okay, so here is an I, this is the inductor L. So voltage drop across inductor is given by the equation V is equal to L di by dt. Similarly, I is equal to dq by dt, that we know. Just put this equation in this one, we get V is equal to L d square Q by dt square. So in this way, voltage drop across inductor, that we can calculate mathematically, right? So this is another part that inductor opposes any change in the current, then capacitor opposes any change in the voltage, means capacitor blocks DC and passes AC, inductor blocks AC and passes DC. Inductive reactance is XL is equal to 2 pi FL, and capacitive reactance is 1 upon XC is equal to 1 upon 2 pi F into C, right? So this is what the basic principle of that capacitor, that is capacitor stores energy electrolytically and inductor stores energy electromagnetically. Now here the point is what, how we can analyze or how we can correlate this electrical system to the mechanical system. Fine. So next one, now force voltage analogy that we can see over here, right? This is a series combination, that is resistor, inductor and capacitor, all are connected in series. Okay, so now we have to make the analysis of the circuitry. For that, the very basic thing is what we have to apply KVL, because it is a loop analysis, right? So we have to apply a KVL of the circuitry. After applying a KVL, okay, we get all the equation in time domain. Now we have to convert into the frequency domain. So that time domain equation, simply taking the Laplace transform of that, okay, replacing t by s, okay, we can convert that time domain equation into the Laplace domain equation. Then simply one parameter is output, another parameter is input. So Laplace of output divided by Laplace of input we can get, and simply we can get the transfer function of this circuitry, right? So here let me tell you one thing, that is V is the input voltage and I is the input current, okay, and in when the components are in series, the current flowing through these all components is the same, right? The same current is flowing from the resistor, inductor and also in capacitor, because in series current remains same, okay, and in parallel voltage remains same, okay. So when we apply KVL, the equation according to a KVL is given as V of t is equal to, right, I of t into R plus L di by dt plus 1 upon C integration I of t. See, these all equations are in voltage format, okay. Current into resistor, that is voltage. Current into resistor, voltage. Current into resistor, it is a voltage, right? Inductance, capacitance, okay. So these all are in voltage format. So that's why it is a KVL, okay, summation of all voltages equal to 0, or you can say to the main voltage, okay. So this is what a simple KVL of this circuitry. Taking Laplace of this equation, we get, just simply replace by t by s, that is V of s is equal to, okay, I of s R plus ls I of s plus I of s upon sc, right? So but we have to, what do you call that, for comparison it is not possible, right? But we cannot compare f of s and v of s unless we bring them into same form, okay. We have to bring the same format, because it is a force and this is a voltage. Voltage, it is in electrical format, force, it is in mechanical format. So to make similar, we have to bring in a same format or same form. For this we will use current as a rate of flow of charges, but already we know the equation I of t is equal to dq by dt, right? So taking the Laplace transform of this equation, we get I of s is equal to s, okay, s, that is d by dt is simply nothing but s, okay. So s into q of s, or simply you can take in this way, that is q of s is equal to I of s upon s. Just put this equation in the main equation over here, okay. So we get V of s is equal to L of s square q of s plus R of s, that is rs q of s plus 1 by c q of s. So this is what a simple transfer function, the Laplace of output divided by Laplace of input. Just we can see easily, just we can compare over here, okay. Comparing above equation for f of s and v of s, it is clear that your inductance, that is L, is analogous or similar to mass m. Then resistance R is analogous to friction B, and reciprocal of capacitor, that is 1 by C, is analogous, that is spring of constant K, right? So this is what the analogy that we can see, and we can calculate the transfer function. So once we know the transfer function of the any circuitry, right, so any kind of input when we give, what kind of output we get, we can easily analyze the circuitry, right? So thank you very much.